Welcome everybody, my name is 𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐬𝐬 𝐿 and this is the Market Meditations podcast. We chat with fascinating people from around the world to extract mindsets, routines, stories and habits to help you build richer lives. We've got Peter Saddington back on the podcast to talk about investing, trading and building businesses that can not only thrive in bull markets but survive bear markets as well, because he's done this before. He shares a lot about a new project he's working on right now that can really help those who can't afford the upfront cost of getting involved in the Helium network. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. Before we jump into this episode, don't forget that I send hand-picked market news, insights and education to over 6,000 traders and investors 3 times a week. To get access to this, all you have to do is sign up to 𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐬𝐬.substack.com. And also a quick thanks to our partners 𝐸trust for making this podcast possible. There'll be more on them later. Market meditators, welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today we have back on the show Peter Saddington, one of the best communicators I have ever come across, a veteran that's been through multiple stages of the crypto market and is yet again building not one but several projects, doing incredible stuff that I cannot wait to dive into. Peter, thanks for coming on again.
Oh, 𝐿𝐸𝐸, it's always great hanging out with you, brother. I consider you more than just a podcast, network guy, but I consider you a friend. So it's always great to be here, brother.
I mean, that's really kind of you to say. I've told you before that it was surreal the first time you came on because I was only used to Peter speaking to me through the computer. But now you're still speaking to me through the computer. But when I say stuff, you say stuff back at me, which it's still weird to me because I've been listening to you for years. And I mean, we were going to talk about this a little later, but I've got to say, you got me onto one of the most successful projects of 2017 as far as my trading was concerned, and that was ICX. And you're working with them again, aren't you, Peter?
That's right. And I was, I think, one of the top 20 P-rep nodes out there for Icon, but certainly we can talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into that. But the reason I brought you back on was actually a very specific one, which I gave you an outline of before the show. And that is, people right now are really enjoying the crypto market. And who would it be? We're making crazy gains. Number go up every single day, which is great. I like it. We like to see our portfolio go up psychologically. It's satisfying. But in the midst of this euphoria, these crazy emotions, people can get carried away. They start to think short term because they don't realize that this, and I could be wrong, but probability and human history says that it cannot sustain forever. The laws of gravity come into effect and the tides turn. Now, as someone who's been through multiple of these cycles, and I mean, Peter, let's be frank here, very successfully been through multiple of these cycles, both financially and in what you've built, because it's had an impact. How have you done so? How have you prepared for when the tides turn? And what advice can you give our listeners?
That's a great question. And actually, there's so much kind of packed into that question, 𝐿𝐸𝐸, that I'm going to take it in 3 particular phases. The first, I think, is so important. And I've actually written about this. And frankly, you've written about this as well. So for all your longtime readers, you might want to go back and check out some of 𝐿𝐸𝐸's other podcasts as well as blogs where he's written about this. But the first thing is, number 1, principle-based decisions, or another way of looking at this is value-based decisions. You see, when it comes to the cryptocurrency market or any type of market, it doesn't matter whether it's crypto or traditional markets, you should have a firm foundation of not only, number 1, your values, and number 2, the principles. And you might say, well, Peter, I'm just investing here. Why do I need to care about that? Because you want to be a value investor. You want to be a principled investor. This means that you've created internal disciplines around how much you're going to invest. It means you've created internal disciplines of how much that you're not going to invest. You've made decisions up front, disciplined decisions of, hey, if I invest and it's at $1, if it hits $5, then I'm going to take some profit taking. I'm going to take 50% of my profits. Be disciplined. Be assertive around how you invest so that you can make decisions not based on emotions, because we all know in these volatile markets where everything go up. I like the way you said that. Everything go up. I mean, our emotions are wild. We're making more money than we've ever seen before. And then when we get into an emotional context, you as well as I know, we always make our best decisions when we're highly emotional, right? Wrong. We make terrible decisions when we're highly emotional. And so my first piece of advice is to be a principal or value investor. What that means is you've decided, hey, before you invest, how much am I willing to invest? How much am I willing to risk? When am I going to get out? When is my profit taking going to happen? When am I going to maybe split the difference? Maybe fortify my investment portfolio a little bit more by spreading out some risk, right? You need to make these decisions up front, because when you get to the point where your $1 investment turns into $5, you don't have any context to pull from. All you know is, holy cow, number went up and now I'm 5x. What do? Do I pull it all out? Right. You're going to be in emotional context there. So you're going to probably make a very bad decision. So first and foremost, get your values and your principles in line. What are you going to invest? What are you not going to invest? Another big key to this is obviously don't play with bread money. Bread money means money that you actually need to live. It's fascinating how people get into emotional context within these markets and say, oh man, if I just add a little bit more, maybe I take on a little bit debt. Please don't do that. Do not buy cryptocurrency with getting yourself into debt. Bad idea. So that's my first one. Be a value investor, be disciplined, make those decisions before you get into the market. Number 2, dollar cost average. For goodness sake, you can swing trade, you can day trade, you can do all sorts of different mechanisms to get in the market. But I'll tell you, the one that has never failed me over a decade now, since I started in cryptocurrency in 2011, we are now at a decade. I'm here, guys. I've lasted a decade in crypto. Dollar cost averaging. For me, I've been blessed enough that pretty much over the past decade, it's $100 a week. $100 a week, $400 a month, like clockwork, into multiple different coins. It's just a great way to create discipline, and it removes the emotionality of your investing. Now, certainly you can swing trade, you can day trade, you can try to buy the pump, you can try to, buy the dip, you can do all sorts of different mechanisms. But I tell you, it would be great if most investors just sack a little bit away every month to say, hey, I'm going to put in $100. It is what it is. Trust me, the market's always, in many cases, we return what you put back into it, especially when it comes to that Bitcoin. So it wouldn't be a bad investment. So number 1, be a value-based investor. Number 2, dollar cost averaging is your friend. Use that as a foundational baseline for your investing. And number 3, I know I follow you, Karush. See, sometimes you say stuff that can be emotionally, let's say, inciting, right? Say, well, come on, man. The fuck you money is in altcoins. I read that tweet recently, right? And it can get you into this emotional context where you're listening to all these gurus or these people like you and I, who might have some good ideas, but we're not you. We're not you at the end of the day. You have to make your own decisions. So that's number 3. Do your diligence and make your own decisions. I think this is a really crucial point to sit on, and then I'll be done and I'll let you respond in a second here. But at the end of the day, every single investment that I make, I come to a point of saying, before I click that buy button or whatever, I say, is this an independent decision that I've made, or have I been pressured? Have I been influenced in the wrong way? Am I making a bad, misinformed decision based on something that I read that probably I don't have a whole lot of context around, but I think it might be a good idea? Take a step back, take a breather, and really consider whether you are whole before you press that button and before you invest or do any type of investing. Really, you want to make sure that you are owning, and this is crucial, owning the responsibility for that decision. Being in the cryptocurrency world and being an operator who've built multiple startups, multiple products, I have to take full responsibility of whether those products work or not. I have to take full responsibility if we write the wrong code or we build the wrong thing. I'm the one that's going to get slammed with inbound from people saying it doesn't work, it's jacked up. I take full responsibility. I think when it comes to investing, everyone has to take full responsibility now in this new world of crypto, where it is truly your value, and you can't be screaming if you make a bad decision. It's your fault and your fault alone. So those are my 3 tips.
There's a lot jammed into that. Let's start with a dollar cost averaging. Absolutely essential, number 1 way for everyone to play this game. And Peter, that is why I'm okay saying the tweets I say. Like, I will tell people a more emotionally enticing tweets, but it's true, Peter. Like, the FU money is in altcoins right now. People are making 7, 8 figures, but those people are the 1%. At best, at very best, those are the 1%. Then take the art of trading, something I used to push very, very strong, but only, again, with the understanding that only 5% of people are going to succeed. And then to leverage what you do, build successful businesses. In that world, Peter, what's the success rate like?
The success rate is less than 1% of a percent. Actually, you should expect to fail if you're going to be building a startup, especially in the cryptocurrency space. So we have even a less of a chance of succeeding, which requires even more intentionality, wholeness, personal responsibility, and knowing thyself. If you're going to be building a startup in cryptocurrency, brother, sister, you better know yourself. You better know what you're signing up for, because this is a grind like no other, for sure. And the chances that you'll fail are 10 times anything else, for sure.
Exactly. So we're taking on these risky activities, and Peter, we love them. I love trading, and recently getting into building businesses, building teams, doing cool stuff in the space. I love it. I'm addicted to it, and I'm okay with working twice as hard for a higher probability of losing and not making money. Like, if I went and worked at a big bank or a consulting firm, I would likely work less, consistently make more money, and but I wouldn't enjoy it as much. I'm here because it's fun and it's amazing. And I will tell you, yes, you can make a lot of money. You can absolutely make life-changing gains, but the risk is there and it's not easy. So, Peter, right now you have spoken to us from that trading, investing perspective, but what about for the entrepreneur? For the business build? I mean, I know you're building Emrit right now. What are you doing to make sure that when the tides turn, when the bubble, not saying it's a bubble, but when the wave comes down a little bit, when stuff starts to cool off, how are you guys going to sustain through? What are you putting in place to prepare for that?
That's a great question. Now that we're pivoting away from trading, which is very personal, I think trading should be a very personal endeavor and shouldn't be taken lightly, which I find fascinating because over the years, I've been part of so many Telegram pump and dump groups that I'm invited to, and I'm just curious. I check them out, and it's so fascinating that there's a whole bunch of non-sophistication that's happening in these groups. And so you're not, the people in there are not whole people. You're not thinking fully. You're not fully understanding who you are as a trader and what type of decisions that you need to make. You're simply following what other people do, and they're not you. It's based on a different context. They have different risk profiles than you do, for example. And so investing is very personal. Now, when it comes to building a company, how do you future-proof is the kind of the idea that I'm thinking of here from what you've said, is how do you future-proof? Well, it's very simple. You have to have a vision and a mission that goes beyond the markets. For us here at Emrit, I'll give you an example. We are building the global IoT network of the future. Now, that sounds grand and all, but how are we actually doing it? Well, let me state for you our internal company culture mission, which is really important because it's the guiding light for us. Our internal company mission is this is the quote, we are all our own leaders. We are all our own leaders. So we'll start there. It means that we are all personally responsible for what we are doing within this company, right? So we are all our own leaders, activating human potential. Oof, I love this. Activating human potential by being radically transparent, innovative, adaptive, and trusting each other to execute. Now, this for us is so powerful because it guides us through all of our decisions. If you're going to make a decision, you're going to be personally responsible for it. You're going to be an innovative individual. You're going to be adaptive to change. You're going to be open to what the world wants. And those are the means in which we move our company forward. Every decision we make goes through the filter of, are we achieving these goals? Are we innovating? Are we adapting? Are we leveraging human potential? Are we activating human potential? Are we helping the world out by growing this global IoT network? If the answer is yes to any of those, then you're making the right decision. And so a great company has a solid mission, has a solid vision that guides them through the good times, obviously, and through the bad times. And so for us, this mission goes beyond just this year. we know that it's going to take maybe even 5-10 years to achieve this mission. So it's grand, it's amazing, it's epic, it's going to be a wonderful adventure, and we're willing to grind through it. And so when it comes to future-proofing your ideas or future-proofing your company, you have to be guided by a mission and a vision that goes beyond you. And I've actually heard from some gurus and some experts in this area, which I don't think they're wrong, but I've heard that in some ways your mission and your vision for your company should be so grand that it's way beyond your lifetime. Meaning that there's no way that you could actually really achieve it. You could build the stepping stones for it, but it's so grand and it's so large that it probably is going to take more than one lifetime to achieve it. I understand the thrust of this argument. I understand why it's important to have some overarching goal that you're willing to achieve and willing to grind for. And that right there is it, Karush. Because when shit gets tough, when life gets tough, when the market turns against you, especially in business building, that mantra, that vision, and that mission is going to be the single reason why you're going to get up and you're going to grind when everything else is against you. And so for me as an operator, this is how I operate. This is how I work. I work by a principled, vision-based, outcome-based mission. And so for me, that helps drive me through the good times and through the bad times.
Well, Peter, I am very interested in dissecting that and diving deep into everything you've just said, because I want to get to the layers beneath that. Let's start with Emrit itself. Firstly, why did you choose it? And what is your main purpose at Emrit?
Great question. So since you've been following me for a long time, you understand this context a little bit better than most. But for me, I've always been about educating the world about cryptocurrency. That's how I started out with Bite-Sized Bitcoin in 2016 with my YouTube channel that ended up being censored and all the videos deleted. But I've always been about educating people and wanting people to get into the crypto game. It is amazing, Karush, how many people have hit me up in this altcoin season, this Bitcoin bull run. There are people have said, "Oh man, I wish I had listened to you back in the day. It's like, I know, I was trying to tell you." And so I'm a big fan of educating people and getting people into the crypto game. Now in 2017 to 2019, I spent about $500,000 on my own personal mining at scale. And I learned so much. The problem is mining Bitcoin or mining other coins is just not economically efficient. But I learned a couple things. And so what is Emrit? Emrit is a culmination of the learnings of how to get people into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and also personal mining. So what does this look like? Well, very simple. So what we've created is what we call a cool spot. This is a hotspot miner. And what you do is you go to emirt.io. You can order one of these for free. It's a $350 piece of hardware, and we're going to give it to you for free. And what this does, it allows you, no sophistication required. It allows you to plug it in, connect it to your Wi-Fi and your mobile app, and you immediately begin mining at home. So number one, I've solved the problem of personal mining at home. People will ask, how much does it cost to run? About 37 cents a month. So about less than an LED light bulb. Number two, you'll be earning HNT, helium tokens, which we can spend a lot of time talking about. I love the tokenomics of it. I think helium is on a warpath. I think it's a great project to invest in. Frankly, we are some of the earliest investors of that company as venture capitalists. So I'm just being transparent. We are one of the early investors there. And I also just finished closing a $10 million venture fund to focus on staking for HNT, but that's a whole nother picture. But I'm giving you context for how involved we are with this helium project. And so what you do is you get the miner for free. You begin mining HNT tokens, and you can immediately get into cryptocurrency. No sophistication required. You don't need to know about hashing or mining or exchanges or wallets, or you don't need to know any of that. You just plug it in and your balance starts going up. Secondly, we are solving, which is so juicy, Karush. Oh man, what we are solving is something that has been a dream of mine. We are solving, I believe, the beginnings, the ruminations, the tip of the spear. We're solving universal basic income. Now, to most Americans, if I give you one of these hotspot miners for free and you say, well, Peter, I'm earning $25, $30 a month. Great. Not life-changing. Awesome. I'm glad that you got our product for free and you're making 30 bucks of crypto per month for free. Awesome. But you might not exactly be my target market. For 90% of the world, 25 to 30 USD is significant money. To 50% of the world, 25 to 30 USD is life-changing money. If I can get this free cool spot, which you can go to emirt.io and get it for free. It'll only take you 2 minutes of filling out some information and we'll ship it to you. If I can get this to emerging economies like Africa, like Asia, like India, like South America, Latin America, if I can get this into their hands, which is what we're doing, we're in over 30 countries in less than a year right now, then I am literally changing the trajectory of millions, hopefully millions of people's lives. Now they'll have this hotspot miner, which makes them 25, 30 USD. Now they don't have to worry about hand to mouth anymore. Now they can spend some more time with their kids, with their spouse, with their family. Now they can start thinking creatively. I remember talking with one of my investors about this idea, and I told him, I said, what would it look like if I could remove the barrier of income to survive for 50% of the world? And he looked at me and he said, well, if you could provide income for 50% of the world, what would they do with their time? And I looked at him, I said, exactly. My hope would be that they would start innovating. They would create new products, new services, new ideas. And I told him, I remember I was getting excited about this. I was like, we could see, because of our work, we could see an explosion of innovation because now people have a universal basic income that they're earning through crypto, and they don't need sophistication to do it. And they can fiat off ramp from our mobile app, getting the HNT into a Visa debit card to pay for daily things. Consider this idea that you have a mobile app. Ooh, it's so juicy, Karush. Golly, man, I get so excited about it. Imagine a future, which is what I'm building, by the way. But imagine a future where you have a mobile app, and this mobile app allows you to collect earnings from your mining system. You take a portion of those earnings that you got for free, and now you can stake it in a coin and make even more. Or you can take some of those earnings and trade them with other coins. Or you can take the rewards of that mining and you can off-ramp it to fiat so that you can pay for daily things. You pretty much have extracted yourself from our shitty financial system in which you are earning through my miner free tokens, which you can make more money, compound interest, and you can stake. I can give you financial services like banking, savings, loans. I mean, you no longer have a need. I literally have created, Karush, true personal banking in which you actually don't ever need to touch a traditional bank because you have one of these things called a cool spot, and this thing makes you money. Amazing. That's what we're doing. We are building the global IoT wireless network of the future. We're using these things to do it, and we're working with such great global partners to help them connect their IoT devices to this network that we are creating and that we are building and that we are expanding. It is so much fun, Karush. It's amazing.
I love feeling your energy, Peter. It's infectious, and I can tell how passionate you are about what you're building. The vision seems to go well beyond just a simple business. You are trying to change the world, and so much respect for that. I'd actually been thinking quite a lot about universal basic income recently because I've seen it in action where some of my friends who've struggled a little bit more with the hand life has dealt them. With the current world situation, they have been receiving furlough, and they haven't been sitting around doing nothing. They've been exploring their creativity. They've been building things. They're better than they've ever been, and they're contributing more value to society than they ever had before as well. So before that, I never really understood it, and I love that that's what you guys are trying to push. Now, Peter, with anything that sounds too good to be true, I got to dive in because that's not making sense to me right now. So first off, how can you guys afford to send $350 pieces of equipment to people for free? That doesn't sound like a business model to me.
Well, it's a great thing that we have great investors who can help us acquire lots of hardware upfront. So we have a lot of hardware costs that obviously we're incurring. But the business model is relatively simple. It's you receive 20% of the mining rewards and we receive 80% of the mining rewards. Now, to some people, they might say, well, Peter, wow, that seems like you're taking a lot off the top. Well, you're not wrong. We are a company of over 30 people. We are over 30 countries. We are paying for the building of these hardware devices, the chips, the shipping, the logistics, the design. We're paying for the software platform, as well as paying for the mobile app with multi-exchange and multi-wallet capabilities, as well as staking abilities and fiat off-ramp at the same time. We're also paying for customer service and our very measly and very small salaries as startup entrepreneurs. And so, yes, we are taking 80% of the 100% total, but that's for us to be able to scale, to build the financial services that we want to provide and give to the world for free, so that you can leverage, so that not only you can get into cryptocurrency, but you can leverage those free mining rewards that you do get to start learning about cryptocurrency, getting deeper into crypto, trading, as well as, again, at a small level of 25, 30 USD, which actually isn't true anymore. It's closer to 50 now because of the price of HNT. It's a significant amount of money for 50 to 90% of the world. But the whole goal really is to canvas the world and create a global IoT network that's free, where any IoT device can connect to, do data transfer, and for us, especially in the Western world, it'll allow us to have better home automation and automated tools for the future. So that's the whole idea of the IoT network of the future. And Emrit, we're the largest provider of it, and we're happy to be here.
Well, happy to have you guys here, and I'm already interested in maybe setting one of these up myself, getting learning about what's going on. Now, Peter, why would I do this through Emrit versus buy the product? Is the UI difficult? Is it difficult to set up myself? Does Emrit help cut through some of that difficulty, or is it a way of avoiding the upfront cost and initial investment?
Great question. It really is the latter. Is that we're just one of many options. In the middle of 2020, Helium, the Helium cryptocurrency project, who's been around for 8 years now, said that they're no longer interested in being part of the manufacturing and logistics of these particular hotspots. And so we saw that as an opportunity in early 2000. We said, hey, I mean, shoot, I can do this. If they're not going to do it, then I can do it. I know chip makers. I know people all over the world. We can get hardware from China, chip makers from India. We can do logistics. I can do this. And so that was in a lot of ways one of the biggest motivators for me. Is not only did I see the potential of being able to fundamentally change the trajectory of individuals' lives all over the world, especially emerging economies, but what really incentivized me is that I knew that I had the ability to do it. I knew that I had the skills. I knew that I had the work ethic. I knew I had the hustle, the grind, and more importantly, the network of venture capitalists and hardware providers, as logistics providers. I knew that I could put this all together. And so we started out from February to now, literally a year. We've grown from four people to over 30. And so this is it's been an amazing journey so far. It's been an amazing project. And I don't mind giving you all some numbers. I mean, we went from basically zero in February to doing multi-million in annual recurring revenue in just our first calendar year. And so we have so many great partnerships, so many great networks with a lot of amazing people who really see the vision of what we're doing, and really excited to partner with them and kick some ass with them as well.
I love to see you kicking ass, Peter. This is amazing. It's great to hear about, and I'm learning a lot as well. So where I really see the potential and my mind aligns with the vision of what you guys are trying to do is in those emerging economies where that $350 is just like the barrier is too high. Most people, that's multiple month salaries for most people.
We're just an option. If you can spend $350 and get your own hotspot miner, do it. You can keep 100% of the rewards, no problem. But you're not necessarily our market. Our market are are individuals who can't afford to pay for $350 upfront and hope that they get their, get the payback within a 3 to 6 month period. Ours is no risk. We're the first people, I believe, the first company on the planet to do this business model, which is get free, get paid. Google and Facebook were the first companies on the planet to do the get free model, which is you get all of our stuff for free. You just don't realize that the undersign is we collect all your data and we sell it to everybody. So we went a step further. We said, we're going to give you our hardware product for free, and we're going to get you paid every month for free. You haven't done anything but sign up and receive something in the mail. I want to get you into crypto. I want to get you earning. I want to get you learning about this ecosystem. And I want to help you, especially those or during these times, especially in these trying times where people are losing jobs. This could be a very powerful passive income opportunity for those who just have a little bit of hustle in their soul, and maybe they just lost their job. So we really want to help out people who are struggling. We want to help out people that do not have $350 to spend up front. And we want to make sure that they not only get an awesome product for free, but they start earning and potentially even maybe become more self-sovereign and get to the point where they can truly take responsibility of their lives and their value, and maybe even make something wonderful out of it. That's the hope.
Well, it's a beautiful hope. And making sure I understand the IoT network properly, is that like a global internet that everyone has access to? Is that what the product builds?
So about a decade ago, IoT came out, and it was hailed as this huge opportunity for everything that can be connected. Like in the scary movies of the dystopian future, where you wake up and once you wake up, your coffee pot turns on, the shades go up, and the temperature goes to the right temperature. Your fireplace goes on, and your shower starts. Like, this type of home automation is what IoT essentially promised over a decade ago. But one of the biggest problems when IoT came out is that we had a surge of manufacturers who wanted to make devices for the IoT world. The problem is they didn't have the rails, the network to actually run on. And frankly, your big telcos, your AT&T, your Verizon, it's just too expensive for them to roll out an IoT network. And so what Helium figured out is that we could actually make this a decentralized public node based system, which when we give these out, every individual who owns them owns a piece of the network and essentially creates the network. And so because of this, now IoT device manufacturers will have rails to run on or a network to run on. For example, in my house, I have my own cool spot. And then what I've done is I've essentially convinced all my neighbors all around my town to host one of these. And now we have a complete quote unquote mesh network around my city, so that any IoT device maker, which we're working with a lot right now, anyone who makes a device and sells it to anyone within this area, now they can run that device free on the network. They don't have to pay for internet. They can have a pet tracker, a dog tracker. They can have a new home alarm system that's not on their Wi-Fi. It's on the IoT network. They can put car sensors in their cars. Anything that can be tracked should be tracked. Can be tracked. Let me put it that way. Is an opportunity to run on this free network, this free IoT network. And so we're providing the rails, the network for all these IoT device manufacturers. And that's what I mean when I say partners. Oh, Karush, we have awesome IoT device manufacturers who've made these great trackers or these great devices. And what we're doing with them is we're partnering with them, and we're saying, hey, not only can you sell your device to retail or to B2B, but also we can add our chip in there so that you can also mine cryptocurrency at the same time while accessing the network. You're providing the network. And so some of the most exciting stuff that's coming down the pipe for us here at Emrit is our device partnerships and co-branding of all these devices for IoT that are also going to be able to mine HNT for their users. So that means that the network's going to spread out even more.
So you were an early stage investor in HNT, correct?
Yes, actually, the company itself. Yeah.
Yeah. So was that through a VC that you were running?
Yes, it was a venture fund. Yeah, venture capital fund. Yeah, called Borderless Capital. It's a $200 million VC fund.
Well, that's amazing. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Did you start that? Are you a general partner there, or do you work with them? I'd love to know more about that and your investment thesis as an angel
So
investor.
I'm an angel investor and venture capitalist. I'm a venture partner, and so that means I help source deals. And so Borderless Capital is a venture fund based out of Atlanta, Georgia, run by Arul Morgan and David Garcia, two great cryptocurrency enthusiasts and successful entrepreneurs on their own. So they've had their own exits, been very successful, and so for them, this is a major opportunity to create one of the largest venture funds for blockchain on the planet. And I just was lucky that they were in Atlanta. So long story short, years ago, I was supposed to become, and I wanted to become a more full-time venture capitalist. And so Borderless Capital with Arul and David was an opportunity for me to jump into that game. What was really interesting at the same time, though, is that this idea and this opportunity came around. And so I always like to tell the story where I was supposed to be a VC on Easy Street, sitting on, Zoom chats like this, and deploying capital into great blockchain and cryptocurrency companies. But I ended up getting suckered back into 20-hour workdays as an operator. And so now I'm a startup entrepreneur again. But I was hoping to be a VC on Easy Street. But this was the right opportunity. This is for me, kind of in retrospect, being a full-time VC would be great because I could get to deploy capital on some great startups, some great entrepreneurs. I love networking. I love investing in people. I love investing in their great ideas. But at the end of the day, man, it's kind of sadomasochistic for me to say it, but I'd rather grind 20 hours a day and work my ass off because that's how I'm built than kind of chill back and just deploy capital. And so, but I am getting that part of my life, that itch scratched by being a venture partner, as well as starting my own $10 million HNT VC fund. So we're mostly going to be staking all of that money into HNT because we believe in the future. If that means anything to you guys out there, you just have to take it from the guy who put $10 million together and just put it into one token.
Yeah, Peter, you do not do things by halves. You told us in the last episode how you are 100% crypto. There are no stocks, bonds, no attachments to that previous financial system. And that makes me think, I would have thought you would be in the decentralized finance space right now, Peter. Like in my head, that's what came up. Would you say that's what Emrit is? But it seems more centralized than decentralized. Is that incorrect?
That's a really great question, Krush. You're asking some really good ones. So we don't see Emrit as a crypto company. We don't see Emrit as a DeFi company. We don't see Emrit as a software platform. We see Emrit as an ecosystem. And so one of the models, and this is kind of digging deep into our core values here, is one of the models that we're modeling our company after is Apple. It took Apple about 50 years to become a chip manufacturer all the way to retail stores. Like, they own the entire vertical. They own the entire ecosystem. And that's the similar model that we want to have, is that that Emrit, we build our own chips. We create our own devices. We ship them out. We handle the fulfilling and the shipping. We also handle the software platform, as well as our IoT marketplace, which I didn't even talk about. We're building the world's first IoT marketplace. Consider it like an Apple app store, but for IoT devices. And so we want to be Apple-esque in that regard. I believe that if we endeavor on this and we work our butts off, Karush, that in 10 years, we could have a similar model in that Emrit is literally self-sufficient. We build our own hardware, we build our own chips, we fulfill all our own orders. We will create a marketplace so that people can engage and buy other apps, dApps, other devices. We own all of it. And so, yeah, you could say it's centralized in that regard, but what we're doing is we're reducing reducing variability in our logistics, and we're reducing variability in our control and our risk. And so for us, this allows us to be as smooth as possible, just like Apple is in a lot of ways, being able to deliver great customer experiences, great products, and great customer support. So that's what we want to do at the end of the day. We are more of an ecosystem company than any other type of, a product or app company.
Of course. Now, Peter, can I get philosophical with you for a second?
Brother, those are the best questions, man. Those are the ones I want to talk about.
Let's go then. You're building this vision. Well, you have the vision. The vision is there, and you're building a vision that outlasts the company itself. But the vision is forever. You or any of the current team members are not going to be forever. Without a decentralized system in place, how does it stay protected from what every other similar system, not directly similar, but as an overall similar, like a bank, say, starts with the best vision ever? How can you sustain that beyond without decentralization?
That's a great question. And so part of our long-term goal. Now, I'll be completely honest. I don't quite fully know how we're going to become as decentralized as we want to become. But I do know that internally, and I don't mind saying this to you and to the public, that we have an internal mandate within our company to decentralize what we're doing as much as we possibly can over time. Now, you don't have to preach to me about the value of decentralization. I understand it. Like, that's where we need to go. However, for speed, quality, risk reduction, and especially since we're dealing with finances, we've had to start off in a more centralized model. Now, what's really great about the overall kind of the meta of what we're doing is that each of these cool spots are decentralized, in that each of our hosts are scattered all over the world, participating together to secure and grow the network. And so in that case, we are decentralized. And now what's so great about Helium and the Helium protocol, it is a decentralized protocol, right? You can vote on HIPs or Helium improvement proposals. I think we're on 25 right now. You can participate in staking and validating and transacting and creating blocks as any other decentralized cryptocurrency does. We are a provider of hardware to enable people to engage in the decentralized support of the network. And so I think that's important to note, is that we are a provider of devices that support a decentralized network, but we ourselves are centralized right now because we need to scale and grow our company to a point of sustainability so that we can begin figuring out how to decentralize some of the work that we're doing so it can be more spread out to the overall network and to the people, so the people can run the network. And actually, that's one of the hashtags of Helium. It's hashtag the people's network, which is really, really appropriate. But again, I think it's important for your listeners to know that we are not decentralized as a company. We are a provider to a decentralized entity, a decentralized blockchain, and a decentralized system. And our hopes in the future is to decentralize as much as we can as an internal mandate so that we can give more of the control back to the people and have less for ourselves in that regard.
Oh, that's another amazing answer, Peter. Expect nothing less from you. I guess we get to the end of the podcast, and before, I want to leave you with one last question, and one I think you're really going to be able to deliver a lot of value to our listeners with, and that is, if I'm trying to build a company in the space right now, is this the time to start? Like, should I start right now, get involved, dive into crypto while everything's crazy? Or should I wait, hold back, let the market come down and then go in?
Baby, you're speaking my language and you already know my answer. The time is now. I'm actually writing a blog post right now, and the title of it is "The Time Is Now." And for some of you guys, you might have heard me say that before. But you see, most people, Karush, have great plans for the future, and they all start tomorrow. But that's the problem, is that when tomorrow comes, you still have great plans, and you'll start tomorrow. You see, we are great at procrastinating away our lives. We are great at not being as assertive as we need to be. And I would say that one of the worst things that you could have at the end of your life is a regret of a life not well lived, or a life not fully lived, or a life where you could have done more. You see, I have the benefit, Karush, of my father, who is a hospital chaplain in Austin, Texas, and he deals with end of life. And so what's great about hearing his stories is that he's at the deathbed of people every week, day in, day out. That's his job. He's in hospice. And so he gets to hear all the regrets. He gets to hear all the stories. He gets to hear all the I should have, I could have, I would have, I shouldn't have. And you know what it boils down to? Nobody cares about how hard they worked. Nobody cares about how much money they make. Nobody cares that they work those extra hours. Everybody wishes that they had more time. Everyone wishes that they forgave more. Everyone wishes that they had more time for love. Everyone wished that they freaking picked up the phone and called their brother that they didn't talk to for 25 daggone years, and now they're dying and their brother's not there. At the end of the day, when it comes to the end of life, I mean, for me, I've been really blessed to have a father who's given me those stories and made that real to me. And that now is the time to do. Now is the time to build. Let me give you a great quote that your listeners can leverage, and I hope it'll ring true. And this quote that I've run my life by, it goes like this. And I actually tweeted about it not too long ago. You probably saw it. But it goes like this. Oh, man. I want to make sure that I read it right. I'm going to look it up real quick here. I said it earlier. Oh, there you go. Do what you love in the service of others, and you'll always be fulfilled and sufficiently paid. Let me break that down. Do what you love in the service of others, and you'll always be fulfilled and sufficiently paid. I have lived my life by this moniker, 𝐿𝐻, and it has never failed me. Do what you love. You have a passion. You have a side hustle. You have a hobby that could turn into your main hustle. I don't know what it is out there, listener. I don't. All I know is that there's a high chance that there's maybe, just maybe, the potential that you're not doing what you love. But you can do what you love in the service of others, just like 𝐿𝐻 and I am doing. Like, we are two great models. 𝐿𝐻 loves educating, supporting, encouraging, and helping people level up their lives. I think I got that right, 𝐿𝐻, right?
Definitely.
Like, you love doing that. And you do that in the service of others. And guess what? I imagine that you're ridiculously fulfilled because you receive inbound and you receive feedback of people that are saying, 𝐿𝐻, you're helping me change my life. And you're being sufficiently paid. Now, I think it's important to note, just because you do what you love in the service of others doesn't mean you're going to get rich. But rich doesn't really matter at the end of the day. What really matters is that you were sufficiently paid to allow yourself to do what you love day in and day out. And for me, over the many years that you followed me and been with me, and then many years now that I'm following you and watching you grow, 𝐿𝐻, it's so, I mean, I think it has to be said, before we even press record, for all you listeners out there, I was telling 𝐿𝐻 how proud I am of watching you. I've been able to watch you grow in real time, man. I've been able to watch you mature. Your quality is getting better. Your messaging is getting better. Your narratives are getting better. Your stories are getting better. Your newsletter kicks ass. I'm recommending it now to colleagues and coworkers and people that I know. Like, you are doing what you love, helping other in the service of others, and you're fulfilled and you're sufficiently paid. Now, I think, 𝐿𝐻, you could actually get rich through doing this if you're not already. But that right there, my friends, to everyone out there, that's what I want to leave you with, is that it is totally possible to do what you love in the service of others and be fulfilled and sufficiently paid. It's so true. It's so true. But the key right there is you got to do it in the service of others. When you can find a way to turn your passion into service, you'll have a fulfilling life till the day is done.
There's so much to take in with every answer you give, Peter, but it's also entertaining and energizing to listen to. The passion seeps through every word you say, and that's a great answer, especially when you talk about money and how getting rich is great, getting paid is great, but what's the point? Like, what's the end game? And if you're doing what you love, that's the end game. You're already there. You just need enough. Just make sure you're doing what you love. And I guess that answers the question of, should you build right now? Hey, if that's what you love to do and that's what you want to do, go for it. As long as you can sustain it and you've got a plan, it seems like the play.
What do you got to lose? What have you got to lose? If you are a hard worker, now I don't have to preach to the choir to you, 𝐿𝐻, because I know you're a hard worker. But if you're a hard worker and you fail, excellent. You will leverage that experience to make the next time around even better. We don't have time to talk about it. I don't want to take up all your time here. But brother, I failed. I've gone through bankruptcy. I've gone through moments when I couldn't pay my mortgage, right? But I'm still here. I've gone through all of it. And if I could be any encouragement to anyone out there, I'm a guy who literally had at one point $80 to his name, something like that. And I'm also the guy that's driving around in Lamborghinis and race cars. So like, it's possible, it's doable. None of this is unachievable. It's just, you got to focus, you got to dedicate, you got to go all in, like we talk about. And when you can do all that, brother, sister, anyone out there that's listening, you can make a life that's worth living, and a life that, man, at the end of the day, you can be proud of. And for me, I'll take that any day.
Peter, I wish you, Emrit, and what you guys are building all the success in the world. We didn't even get to talk about some of your other projects with 𝐼𝐶X. So
next time.
Listeners, make sure to go check out Emrit if you want to get access to that free cool spot. And also check out Peter on Twitter. There'll be links in the description below to everything he's doing. It's awesome. Peter, thank you again for your time, for your message, for your energy. I think the listeners are going to gain a lot of value out of this episode, and maybe a free cool spot as well. So thank you very much for joining, everyone. That is the end of another Market Meditations podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Market Meditations podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like us to continue bringing you fascinating people from across the world, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you like to listen to these podcasts, and share the episode with a friend. If you have feedback or an idea for a potential guest, reach out to me on Twitter at 𝐏𝐸𝐴𝐾, and do not forget, we write a newsletter covering all important topics in crypto and traditional markets. We send it out 3 times a week. The Market Meditations newsletter. You also get early access to these episodes, and you get transcripts and extra notes as well. So make sure to subscribe there as well.